I hate to be the guy who jumps on bandwagons, but in this case, I really can't help it. So for some context to help you decide if this review is going to be helpful for you, and just to show you where I'm coming from, I consider myself a moderate superhero fan, with the Batman universe being my favorite hands down. By no means am I a super fan. When it comes to open world games, as I've gotten older, I've been a lot pickier about what I choose to spend my time playing. So for the most part, games like Assassin's Creed and Dying Light are out of the picture, but I'll sink hundreds of hours into a game like, for example, Elden Ring. Gotham Knights had my interest piqued from the moment I heard about it, simply off the merits of the Batman universe and how fucking stellar Rocksteady's Arkham series was. But Gotham Knights is everything I hate about AAA game development. Warner Brothers is doing their best to waste your money and time. The lack of creativity and interesting mission design is actually pretty incredible. But whoever headed this portion of the project should be replaced immediately. I've never seen a game try so hard to fulfill every trope of Western open world design, but at the same time do it worse than every other company. While obviously this isn't a complete review, and based off the title of the video, it's probably safe to assume it won't ever be. But maybe I can save you some money while I got your attention. So let's talk about gameplay loops, and what you can expect when you jump into the world of Gotham. Well, you've got your story missions, which, if I had to make an educated guess, make up roughly 10% of your gameplay, let's say. The story missions are good, not great, but they're serviceable. There's some funny moments that pull on your heartstrings, and some moderately engaging storytelling. In my opinion, it's the best part of the package, hands down. Next, you have traversal, which in my opinion makes up at least 40% of your gameplay. A pretty significant chunk of your time, as is standard for any open world game. Now, if you played Marvel's Spider-Man, you know how much simply having amazing traversal can make up for filler content. I didn't mind doing my 40th Chase the Car mission in the Spider-Man universe, because every time a web shot out of my hand, all the way until the time that it took me to platinum the game, I was in awe of the eye candy it produced. Insomniac did a phenomenal job of this. But don't expect this from Gotham Knights. Obviously, they're a little more beholden to realistic traversal in terms of gadgets, but you can't tell me that the Arkham series didn't absolutely nail the feeling of drifting around in the Batmobile as smoke surrounds your car and you demolish everything in your path, or even just gliding among the rooftops while staring at Batman's cape physics. But then we have Gotham Knights and the Bat Cycle that's only sense of inertia they could rummage up was putting speedline visuals around the outside of the screen to make it feel like you're going fast, but while you're actually fucking driving like a grandma through the streets of Gotham. There's no drift, there's no destruction, it's fucking clunky and terrible feeling. Like, what is this? Who designed this? Who genuinely tested this out and thought, yes, this feels good? So then your next option is your starting grappling hook to get around the city. Now, I don't have any huge gripes about it. It's serviceable, the tracking is pretty decent, and I guess it gets you around town, but it's not fun. In fact, the moment that I realized that I would need to unlock my knighthood to unlock my alternative traversal method, I hurried to do so. So let's talk about knighthood for a second. So for each of your 4 heroes, in order to even have any remote semblance of fun when traveling around Gotham, expect around 30 minutes to an hour of having to prevent 10 crimes, and not just any crime, these red marked ones on your map, which only about 4 to 6 populate each night. So after running around the map to clear these, for some reason you have to go back to your main hub so you can progress the night, so you can clear the remainder of these mediocre ass side missions. Not to mention, in this conquest, you have to defeat at least 3 mini-bosses in that time, which is fine, it's very doable and you'll probably get it anyways. but also bizarrely, you have to go back through the precise strike tutorial on each character, which by the way, all function the exact same. Like why? I understand padding time to an extent, and the concept of each character having to earn their wings essentially is not lost on me. But why was no thought in the interest of the player put into how this was approached? Imagine a game developer that cared, one that had maybe each member have one story mission instead, where they actually earn their stripes, but in a cool and thoughtful way. They just instead slapped on the most basic possible method of approaching this, period. And then the letdown is that still none of these traversal methods made me not want to fast travel to everything I possibly could. And let's talk about fast travel for a second, man. So in order to fast travel to set points on the map, you basically have to watch a drone's trajectory through the sky, figure out where you can get closest to them, like 5 to 10 feet, and then scan it. But for some of them, they have a blue shield on them, and for those, you have to literally stand in one spot and wait for them to circle around the sky so they can land next to you in these docking stations so that you can then scan those. Like, what the actual fuck? Who made these? The people behind these mission structures, I'm convinced, do not play games. Otherwise, this wouldn't happen. They're just putting hopes in fans of the Batverse to simply ignore the atrocious levels of laziness. So let's talk about the remaining 50% of your time. So, if you're not staring at drones, you're beating up baddies in the same 4 remixed missions, or you're solving crime scenes, which, by the way, need absolutely zero brain power, because you can simply guess each of the clues, and there's zero penalty, and once you solve said crime, you simply walk away, pat yourself on the back, and say, job well done. There's no finding the criminal, there's no resolution, you just stare at clues and get your XP. That's it. Listen, at the end of the day, how you spend your money and time is your own burden. But if this helps at least one person not flush their money down the toilet like I did with this bullshit ass game, then I consider this a win. I'm not saying there's not fun to be had here. Of course there is. And if you have somebody that you're going to play through the game with, I could legitimately see some priceless moments to be had. But you're not who I'm talking to. But if you do at all relate to my viewpoint based off the beginning of this video, please do not expect anything past mediocre. The game's a 4 out of 10, take it or leave it. Thanks for watching.